Hello, I'm Anne, and today we're starting a new book. I told myself I would take sort of a break. Not really. I told myself I would take a couple of days to break, but I couldn't do that, okay? Writing is my coping mechanism, so we have to write a new one. But I should probably explain what this book is, what we're doing with it, and all that stuff. I don't know. It's a new book. It is another sci-fi romance. It's in the same world as Project Underground, so it's sort of like this underground city, and then people are existing. There's like futuristic tech and stuff. For me personally, there's a lot of very fun aspects to this world, but it's very fun. It's going to be like a sapphic sci-fi. It follows one of the characters from the underground, like a side character, the way you do with like a romance series, right? She's really fun. She's kind of like a gentle giant sort of character, but she's like more gruff, I guess. She's very like community driven. The other character who is where the story is starting, because I've written this, and she's a bit of like an anxious mess. My my main goal for her is to make it so she is really bad at like holding in her thoughts and her opinions, and so she says things that kind of like get her in trouble or that other people sort of like look down on. And I think that'll be a really fun character to play. It'll be so outside of what I've done before, but it'll be super fun, so we'll see how it goes. I started a little bit of it. Yeah, I've already started it. Like the past two books I started on my phone. And this is the first book that I actually started on paper. A little bit of a different thing right now. The main character is so much fun to write so far. I always forget how nice it is to go from horror to romance and romance to horror. Like the tonal shift is just really nice. Like I just like it. Going from romance to horror was just like so nice to be able to be as like horrifying as I could and like be as like make things uncomfortable, and then going from like a horror voice to a romance voice is also really fun because you get from like this really dark sort of like spooky tone to like this really lovely like upbeat tone. It is such a nice change of pace. So today we're just gonna start writing this. So I don't really outline all that much. I have ideas. I kind of have a brain dump document, and this is like lower on the amount of brain dumping I've done on it, partially because we already have the world and a lot of my brain dumping stuff ends up being world building. And so this one already has a lot of that. I know what their meet cute is gonna be. I know what some big moments are in their character arcs are gonna be. I have like some scene ideas. So I think maybe I have one scene, their meet cute. I have another scene that is like some of their issues. I don't think I actually have an ending for this one. So this is gonna be one of the first books that I've written where I don't have an ending in mind before going into it. So that'll be really fun. We'll see what happens and what grows as we go on. I'm basically basing this entire book off of 2 characters and like 3 or 4 scenes. So wish me luck. It should be really fun. I'm really pleased about it. It's interesting because the character that is the side character from the original Project Underground, Athena, I had so many issues like while I was writing her because I just didn't understand her. Like she was so hard for me to understand. And I wrote like a little like snippet from her POV once, and I was like, oh, okay, she makes sense now. But it was one of those things where when I gave it to like my friends and my mom and stuff, I asked specifically about this character. One of the things I was noting is whether or not this character makes sense, because I struggled with her throughout, and when I read it back I was like, I think she's fine. I don't think I need to make any changes, but maybe I'm wrong. But they liked her, so they liked Athena, and I'm really glad. But yeah, so anyways, this is where we're going. This is where we're starting. I've written a little bit. It's so much fun. I can't wait to actually write in Athena's point of view, because we're starting with the love interest. Athena's point of view is just such a comforting point of view. But yeah, it's really fun. I'm really enjoying this whole process. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. There's also entirely a possibility I will like switch gears and write something else, but I don't think so. I really like this one so far. So we'll see. We're only going to be writing this probably for like a couple weeks, maybe a month. And then we're going to go and start editing the sci-fi horror, so that's just where we're at. I just need a project. I just need something to write, okay? And I like writing novels, so that's what we're doing. I'll see you next time. Hello. Okay, so I've returned. So I actually, I wrote about like 1,000 words-ish I think more. I wrote more than 1,000 words in the sci-fi project, the sci-fi romance. And then I realized I didn't really like any of it. So I went and I took a nap, and while I was taking a nap, I was like thinking about it, and I basically reworked what the story was gonna be, how it was gonna work out. So that thing is like completely redone and reworked, and I think it's gonna be so much better. I'm so much happier with it. I was just like writing it and I was like, I really don't want to have like another villain that's like this, you know? I feel like I've done this too much and I don't need to like have it right now. And I think I was just doing it out of like comfort or like familiarity, and I was like, I don't like this, I don't want to deal with this. So I went ahead and I just kind of like deleted that whole character who was gonna exist and be like a thorn in the side, because he does not need to exist. There's like a whole bunch of other reasons that things can happen. So I went through and I basically just reworked all of it. I got it all like figured out, and I wrote down like a very base sort of like idea of what's gonna happen throughout the story with like new twists and new turns, and I think it'll be really fun. I like it a lot better. It's very much like comforting, I guess. It's like just really nice. It's really sweet, and it is something I'm really excited to write now. I was like, I spent a while just kind of looking at my projects and being like, what do I even want to write now? And I was just feeling like so lost. So I was like, maybe I don't even write a sci-fi. So I actually went and I started writing my like, I've been thinking of it as like a gothic rom-com. It has like necromancers, but they're kind of weird necromancers, so I don't know. It's gonna be very silly. It's probably the silliest idea for a project I've had for a while. And I am not necessarily like great at like silly writing or funny writing, but I think that's fine. I think it will be fun. It'll still be like my writing. It'll just verge more on the silly side. The the main character is very, very strange, and I think that's good. That's fun. And the love interest, she is also very strange, but she's like more of an instigator, and it's gonna be really fun to see how that plays out. But it's also just really interesting because I'm not 100% sure what the world is gonna be. So it's gonna be really interesting. It's like fantasy. It's gonna be a like maybe industrial, maybe like there's like necromancy, and I'm still not sure if necromancy is gonna be like the main magic or kind of like lean into other stuff and what necessarily it contains. This is gonna be a really fun adventure to go on to see what it is. I should probably explain a bit about how I do world building. So I tend to have like a base general idea of like what I want things to be. I'm like, oh, sci-fi, this is the basic like location. So there's gonna be tech in this stuff, right? And then from there on, I kind of world build based off of what I think is fun and interesting, and also based off of what's going to like best like amplify the character story arcs, because I need a limiting factor, okay? You can literally do anything with world building. There's like nothing stopping you. You're like the creator of your own fate when it comes to world building. So I need like a limiting factor. I need something that says, hey, maybe you go this direction instead of this direction, because otherwise I get like the decision paralysis stuff, and that's never great. So sometimes it's just best for me to start writing. And so for this story, I literally have no plans at all. It's entirely possible I'm gonna get like 10,000 words into this and like leave it and then write something else. I'm definitely gonna end up doing something like that. I still need to edit Project Star, right? Whee! It's so cool to just have like a book of it. So I still need to edit Project Star, and that's something that's gonna happen. But right now we are going through this to like give me something to do. I'm gonna start editing this at the beginning of next month, so that's when I get to read this again and see how it turned out. I'm so excited. But yeah, we're writing a fantasy romance, a gothic rom-com, which is just what I'm thinking. Well, I'm ready, so I'm gonna go through and keep writing this until I can go back and edit Project Star, which is really exciting. I love editing. Editing is so fun. I also love writing. I love all of it, so I'm excited to like just see how it all, you know, builds and grows and how things happen. So, and in between all of this, I'm probably going to be doing extra edits onto Project Underground. I did do some extra edits on it. Basically, I took the notes that my mom and my dad gave me and fixed a bunch of like random stuff. There are a couple scenes that they wanted me to add some new new stuff in, and some sentences in particular were confusing. They wanted me to go and like fix a bunch of typos, which there were a lot of them, so I'm not surprised. But anyways, yeah, so I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna write more of my fantasy. I might just be switching back and forth, I'm not gonna lie, but I already have the fantasy, like the beginning set up, and I'm gonna have to rewrite the beginning of the sci-fi romance. So we'll see. Hello. So, oh my gosh, I didn't even check anything. Whatever. So we have been writing some. Yes, we've been writing. It's been happening. It's been kind of like slow going. So I don't know if this is just like a curse, because like the past 2 books I've written, I started on my phone, and this book is definitely not starting on my phone. So I wrote like the first scene basically of the like gothic rom-com that I'm calling it. I'm not a great comedy writer, so it's just probably gonna be a gothic romance. It's gonna be very silly, but we'll see. I don't know. But anyways, so I wrote that. I wrote the first scene from like one of the characters' POVs, and I got like almost to the end and I was like, oh gosh, this is like not feeling right. And I realized I need to go and like write that scene from the other character's POV, which I started doing, and it's a bit difficult because the main character, like the other POV main character, she doesn't necessarily know her name now. Right now, like she has names that she's used, but she's not really like attached to any of them. So she like doesn't currently have a name, which makes it a bit more difficult because they're like 2 girls, and so like having them in a conversation where you don't know either of their names is kind of difficult. But that's okay. It's very interesting. It adds like a very cool like stylistic thing. It feels stylistic even though it's just like logical, but it is a very like interesting stylistic choice, and it's so fun to see the differences and the perspectives. Like very fun, very fun. I mean, I'm probably not gonna get super far. Yeah, I'm probably not gonna get super far before I go back to edit Project Star, which it's still so cool that is bound. Gosh, it's a lot of fun to be writing fantasy again and building like a magic system and like a world based off of that magic system. Super fun. I think it's gonna be like a secondary world, I think it's what it's called. I think I'm gonna keep this second version of the scene, which makes sense. I don't know why I like swapped POVs to begin with, since the first little snippet I wrote for this was actually like while I was finishing writing Project Star. I don't know why I randomly swapped. I didn't think it was actually going to be part of the book, but I think it will be now. You know, you never know. But anyways, I'm gonna go and keep writing. And I will see you probably in a couple of days. I don't know, we'll see. I've been like a little sporadic with these updates. Hello. We're trying something new and that's fun. So anyways, it is, what is it? It's something is happening. So, okay, so in updates, I wrote the first scene of like Project Goth, which is just what I'm gonna call the gothic comedy romance. I rewritten the first scene like 3 times, and I went through it. The first 2 times I wrote it, I didn't feel like I had a proper grasp of like the characters. I felt like I was kind of like missing it a bit, and there was just something off. Like I couldn't figure out what their banter would be, how it would work, and all that stuff. I wrote the first scene from the POV of one of the characters, and then I wrote the second scene of rewrite of the first scene from the POV of the love interest character. And then after I wrote those 2 scenes, I went and I realized I had something very integrally like not right with the characters, and I couldn't figure it out. So I did like a banter first approach. So I went to the 2 main characters, nothing else. I just wrote out like dialogue of how they would banter, and that was really helpful. It kind of gave me a sense of what their vibe would be, so yay. And then I went ahead and did a whole bunch of like just writing about the character's history. I was just like, this is just a fun like premise, let's just play around with it and see what happens. So I went through and I wrote the history, and I figured out so much more about the character and how this world works. This world is honestly really fun. It's so much fun to like build a fantasy world again, or just like build a new world again. I love building new worlds and just like lore and background and like all this stuff, and it's so much fun. So I'm really happy about it. I went through and I actually rewrote the first scene again from the POV of the main character. I went through and I wrote it. I was like, this is a good scene. And I went to write the next scene. I was like, okay, feel weird about this scene. And I realized I was not starting the book in the right place. So now I just have like scenes of them meeting and it's super cute, but it's not even gonna be in the book. But I'm going to like jump ahead a bit for the like actual like story that starts, partially because like it's closer to the inciting incident, like the actual incident that starts the story. I've actually written the first scene and I like it and I'm really pleased with it. The main characters have names and now I have lore about how those names were chosen, which is so much fun. I've been having a lot of fun. I'm still writing and doing all this stuff. I fixed the curse. I started Project Goth on my phone again. So that was super fun. And now I actually, and it's so calming to like start the book on a phone. Just like the amount of pressure there is like nothing. It's like absolutely minimal, which is so nice. But anyways, thanks so much for hanging out. I hope you have, well gosh, okay, yeah, there's gonna be at least one more. But I'm so glad I'm actually like on the path to doing this book. Even though part of me also wants to write the sci-fi, I think I'm like invested in this like gothic fantasy now. This gothic fantasy rom-com. It's so weird, but it'll be so fun. So yeah, I wish me luck. I also love the names for them, even though they're definitely very silly names. But like fantasy is meant to have silly names, right? So that's the requirement. I will talk to you in a couple days probably, and we'll have some good chats. Hello, so it's kind of been like a long time, I guess. So I've been rewriting basically the beginning of Project Goth, the gothic comedy thing, the gothic romance. Yeah, I've been rewriting it over and over again. The last time we talked, I rewrote it like a third time back from the other character's point of view, and then I realized that like that wasn't where I should start the story, so I wrote like another bit of future on, which was fun. And then I had another crisis and I realized I didn't like any of that and I needed to rework the whole thing, so I went back to the very first scene I ever wrote and I reworked that and I like that one better, but I have realized I just don't know where I'm going with that story. And also like the theme for that story is not a theme I really want to deal with right now. I don't think I'm ready to deal with it. So like I think that's the truth. I don't think I'm emotionally ready or prepared to deal with that theme yet. I think I need like a little buffer, which is what I think the sapphic sci-fi story is. It's a bit of a buffer between like my previous theme and then this theme and then there's the next theme, and it kind of works better. Yes, I am basing it entirely off of what I need to like process emotionally, so that's what's happening. But I've officially decided I'm going to be continuing forward with the sapphic sci-fi story, even though I spent a lot of time on the gothic romance, which was super fun. I'm like so happy I worked on that, and it gave me a lot of like clues and hints for me to like percolate over and think about moving forward, like when I actually get to write that. If I actually write it, it really depends. I am expecting that to be a couple books from now. I'm really happy with this sapphic sci-fi. It'll be really fun. Calling it Project Slime, also not a shortened name of anything. Slime is just a factor in it. I've realized with my rework of the plot it's very much like How to Train Your Dragon, but sci-fi. And it's very silly. Very much like finding your place in the world. There's a lot of like social rejection and like moving on from it, and themes of like parentification. It'll be really fun. And I think the main characters are gonna have a really fun dynamic. I haven't gotten to the point where I'm actually writing the main characters' interactions, but I will. I will. I am wondering, I guess I'm like, I feel like now that I've like finished stuff, I just have no idea how to structure anything. I feel like I need to have it structured and good before I even write it, which is so silly. Like, it is allowed to be whatever it needs to be at this point, even if it's just a jumbled mess of scenes. You know, the point is to give me a starting point. I am building myself a diving board so that I can jump into the deep end, okay? That's what I need. I really enjoy the love interest as a character, and I really enjoy like the main character, and I think they're gonna have a really fun dynamic. I'm really stoked about that, and I think they're really gonna, you know, help each other in really interesting ways that are unique to like who they are and what their personalities are and everything like that. So I'm really excited. So yes, I've officially made it. This is for me. This is for me, okay? Don't worry, self. I will get back to Project Goth at some point, okay? This is one of the ones that is like an idea that's just not gonna leave me. So I'm gonna go back to that at some point. Even if for now we're doing the sci-fi. It was fun like writing it and like trying over and over again with it to like really build out the world and like build out what's like going on with it and all that stuff. It gives me a lot of good like base knowledge now from which to build from. Yeah, I have a couple more days to actually work on this and enjoy it and get it all figured out. And then I'm going back to editing Project Star, which should be really fun. It's been so hard not like reading that. It's so cool. Like, it's so cool. I have it so close by all the time. Anyways, thanks so much for watching this video. It's been really fun to kind of explore these two different ideas and really try to figure out what I want to write next. I am very much a like try things out, see what fits, see what doesn't, and go through with it. So I'm glad I tried them both on. You know, they both look pretty nice, but sometimes you just want to wear purple instead of pink or vice versa. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, and maybe I will see you next time. All right, bye.